So way down we go, way down we go.
All right, we are officially back in the home realm from quite a bit of traveling here. I just drove, 4 hours into Dallas just to fly back, up to visit the family in the Midwest here for the holidays. I think it's really important to take a break at times, not necessarily resting completely, but just slowing things down or changing the pace to remind yourself what you're doing it all for. A lot of changes have happened in my life recently, and I think it's important to take a step back sometimes and reflect on what life actually is about. And it's about the people. And I like to do a lot of things for my parents and with my parents, and being able to come and remind myself that they're still here, they care about me, and it's an important chapter in my life to reconnect with them. Now being the adult I am, I think that is a vital piece of the next chapter of my development. And so with that said, let's get into episode 2 of Unscripted. I don't know what I'm going to call this one. I'm thinking something like The Dark Knight, but here's the reason why. I spent, 3.5 hours driving to Dallas. I didn't listen to too much music. I was thinking about a huge concept. I've always loved movies, and one particular movie that I love the most is The Dark Knight. It's probably my favorite movie. If you don't know what it is, it's a Batman movie, right, about him fighting the Joker. First of all, amazingly cast, but there's some moments in that script where it's really eye-opening to see some things for me, and there are so many takeaways. I was thinking about why I love the movie so much, and why I also love the superhero Batman so much. I think it's because at the end of the day, Batman's an ordinary guy. He's not a superhero. He doesn't have special powers. He does have money, but he's just a mortal guy that uses what he can to change the world around him. And another important thing I got out of it was he uses his fear of bats, a childhood trauma that he can bring to the table to fight the crime he does. And it was just incredible to think about that. Like, I think there's so many fears in all of our lives, right, that we can't even identify, right, let alone using. The dark energy that we have in us is mainly consisted by our fears, as well as things that we truly desire on the inside that we don't want to bring to light. So a lot of times we go around and we wear this mask on ourselves, and we say we're this or we're that, we're the good guy, we're the nice dude. And that's why you can't strike success with women. You can't see the success at work you want. You can't change your body, your life, your mind, whatever it is, just because you don't understand the right way of doing things. Especially as men, right? There needs to be this productivity or productive side to you balanced with kind of this chaos or bad boy energy, right? And it was only when I understood that there's this second layer of existence of being the darkness and being this bad kind of guy as well as being the good guy that balances itself out. That's why they always, talk about why the women go for the bad boys, or why they go for the guys that, seem to have a little bit of screws loose inside. It's because you need to find a way to channel the darkness, because otherwise you're not at 100%. Again, like how Batman does it. He uses a fear to motivate him to actually fight what he stands for. And we see him as a hero because he's not afraid to do that. Even though he is feeling fear, he still gets what he needs to done. And so I started thinking, how many things in my life are holding me back simply because of fear? And so one of them, a huge one, was obviously social media here. I was always uncomfortable posting, especially on my personal account, and using my own name. So I used my middle name and other things like that, just because I didn't want people to judge me or to find my account, and because I was kind of scared of what people would have to say because of it. A lot of people might say they don't have that fear, but I think a considerable portion of us are pretty worried about what others have to say about them. That judgment kind of keeps us in check as well too, from saying something that's crazy. But at the same time, it also limits us from being able to truly express how we feel. That's why I think maybe the friend, that rants a lot about politics or whatever, or even if you don't agree with them, if they're saying things on social media that are expressing very personal views, I think you would probably agree that you would feel more connected or in deeper understanding with that person compared to if they didn't say those things. And so I try to open up more on here, also understanding that principle to connect better with you guys, and so you guys can understand where I'm coming from on this stuff. But getting back to the point here, I asked myself why I had those fears. Why did I not like being judged? Well, it's because as a kid, right, middle school, elementary school even, or even before that, very early pre-K, I was worried about what other kids thought about me. Down to even making sure I bought the right shoes that were the right color that my friends liked, wearing the right t-shirts that, were deemed cool, listening to the right artists and being very critical of what everyone thought of that artist so that I would fit in. I hated being judged. I was terrified of being outcast because I didn't think I could be alone. I hated, not being social with other people. And I thought about why I did that. Well, I was always very close with my mother. My mother would always show me this unconditional love, and so I loved connecting with my parents, and I thought I had to connect with other kids all the time. I couldn't be by myself. And so I made every effort possible to connect as well as I could to others. And so that kind of led to this development of me having to fit in with the crowd or do what was right. And so, when I wanted to start posting on social media more, I had to really think about every single post, and it couldn't just be something I wanted to. But when I started doing this thinking about how I was thinking, it led me to unlock that kind of dark energy. A huge reason I started, and something I was debating sharing here, is because it was out of the darkness. I felt the anger. I felt frustration about the fact that I couldn't post because everyone else would just think things. And so I said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to post just because I want to prove that I can do this and that others don't control me. It was kind of this like fuck you spirit or mentality that led to, I think, this channel being a thing and growing. And you guys are obviously really starting to connect with me on a deeper level here, and I love that. And it's breaking free from those chains of your darkness and routing that toward positivity that makes you actually achieve 100%. And there's this concept, right? Potential versus kinetic energy, if you're familiar with physics. Potential is the ball at the top of the hill. It's high up, so it has all the potential to roll down and generate all this speed and motion. Just because it's high up, it has a high amount of potential that could be moved into actually kinetic energy, which is the ball physically moving and rolling down the hill. And so kinetic is something that's in motion, potential is something that could be in motion. And so we often say you have this unlimited potential or potential energy, and I think that's true in a lot of ways. As long as you're in existence, you could make an unlimited number of things happen as long as you're maximizing the input you have. Obviously, we have to sleep, eat shit, things like that. And the other times, as long as you're maximizing the time you have, you can make God knows how much impact on this world. But to do that, you have to channel what that potential is and turn it into kinetic action. You're never going to be at 100% if you don't channel all of you. You're just channeling the light side of you right now that you think society likes, or that's making you the good guy or the productive guy or the guy that everyone likes, but not the actual real fucking you. That shit, that side of you, comes from making peace with the demons that you have. And a lot of us have demons we don't even want to talk about. Like my sister, for instance, I love her so much, but she doesn't like talking about her finances because she's said to me, she's like, I'm scared of what I'm going to see. I don't like looking at the bills. But it's exactly the fact that you should look at the bills because that motivates you to want to fix it. When you have that oh shit moment, I'm spending too much, that's the behavior and the trigger that changes that behavior in the future to say, maybe I shouldn't buy this or that. But when you ignore it, that result and that impact can continue and you can keep spending the way you were. And so I had to kind of do this audit on my life, and I would encourage you guys to do too. Whenever you're on a long drive or just have 10 to 15 minutes of silence, just think about the triggers you have in your life. Do you get angry? Do people say you tend to be more angry? Do you talk, really fast? Do you get anxious really fast? Why do these things happen? A lot of times it's a childhood experience, or it's a person maybe that did something to you or triggered something in you just that one time to make it all uncomfortable. Like I had this buddy, right? Like he has this pee shyness thing, right? Because we're in the military and we have to get drug tested, and he could never go pee when someone was like there, waiting for him to, because when he was like a kid, somebody, like one of his buddies came and he said slapped his ass in the bathroom while he was like taking a piss, and he's always been worried that someone's gonna come up behind him and do the same thing and slap his ass when he's taking a leak again. And so that fear for some reason was like ingrained in his mind that like someone's gonna come up behind him and like scare him while he's taking a piss. And so that's like translated into having this actual disorder now, and it's kind of crazy. I don't mean to like make fun of it or anything. I'm not gonna obviously give his name either, but it's kind of just crazy how these tiny little things can like embed themselves in our day-to-day life. Fear of not being competent enough is a big one. When I was in 5th grade, my father had heart surgery, and And for the first time ever, I saw my father in a different light. He got Q fever and Lyme's disease when he was trying to heal, and that made the situation 100 times worse. My mother was also working a full-time job and didn't have time. You know, she had to put food on the table too while he was out. I was in 5th grade, my sister was in 7th, so basically at the same level as me. I remember days when we had to carry my father into the bathroom so he could use it, and then actually helping fully undress my father so he could get in the shower and helping him in the shower so he could clean himself. That's some shit that most people don't have to do at the 5th grade level. And so I think that's a huge, that realization that there's nobody else here. I'm the man now. I have to be the man right now as a 5th grader. I have to help control this household and like keep things in check, in order, is what led me to take on this massive responsibility that pushed through to my high school, led to me going to one of the best institutions in the country for college, and in a leadership position in the military. It was this sense of nobody's coming to save us. I have to be the one to do it, that led to me taking action. And that fear of, shit, do I know what I'm doing? I have to do it anyway. That conquered that ability and allowed me to put myself in that position whenever, because I was able to do it when other people couldn't. And I think that trait derived a huge amount of my leadership skill. And so even when I don't know anything with businesses now or just with my job, I tend to feel confident in the fact that I can still take action because I've done it since I was a kid. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about the darkness in your life. Are you afraid? Do you have fear? What is it about? Do you fear the dark? Well, why do you fear the dark? Do you fear being alone? Well, why were you alone? Who left you alone? Who couldn't you count on when you were younger? Why? Was that on purpose, or was it someone else's fault? Was it in your control, or was it not? Feeling these things and getting to this deep level of understanding of yourself unlocks and breaks open a new amount of energy. And I need to warn you, when you do this, it's going to scare you. You're going to be confronted with thoughts that you didn't want to have, things that might scare you and might make you feel vulnerable talking about, especially with others. It's very hard to say these things to a camera knowing they're going to go on YouTube. Hundreds or thousands of people are going to see them. But I want to be an example for you guys. I don't know if I'm competent fully, but I have to believe that I am, because I've done it before. And I've solved problems and taken leadership experience when I didn't think I could. And so I have the ability to do it in the future. And by being able to conquer it just that once, that dark energy, that fear that I had inside me is now permanently routed to work itself in my advantage. And I'm slowly unlocking the rest of the skills in my inventory. But without conquering that fear the first time, I would have never had that potential. And thinking about how much my life has changed just from that one experience and unlocking that one side of me, I'm excited to find everything else, all the other Easter eggs. I'm gonna tell you one more story. I used to go to the club a lot, talk to girls and, go out drinking and stuff with my buddies, and everyone does, right, in college. They have that initial experience. Well, I used to think I was great with women just because, I was drinking, I was dancing around, it was a social environment, and I was just in close proximity where they were also dancing. So because they were, came up to me and were flirting, and, they would like tie like little bandanas with their phone numbers on it around my wrists and like, come up and talk to me, I thought I was like the shit. The alpha male that could pull anybody. And then when I sobered up and I was actually going to coffee shops and working every day for the rest of my college experience, I started to realize that, the sober me isn't that good. I'm not that confident. I get nervous when I talk to people like that. I had to take that fear, right, and the anxiety of denial, the risk of rejection, and channel that and say, well, I've done it before, and as long as I've done it, with another person, I've been able to convince another person on why I'm like an attractive person and I have things to offer. Why can't I do it here? And, I started doubting myself. I was like, well, I can only do it when I'm like drinking or in this toxic negative environment. And I said, well, why do I think that? Well, it's because it's the only thing I've known. It's because I haven't tried it. And so what's really stopping me from trying it here? And when I just started going up to people and having conversations, I met some amazing women. I had some great experiences talking and having just, friend to friend conversations. And even to this day, I've networked and met so many great people that I wouldn't have otherwise, especially some of the business owners I've gotten to work with on my agency. I want it to be known that you are the main thing holding yourself back, but it's not really you. It's the experiences and the memories you've had previously in your life that are hidden in that dark side of you that you don't want to tap into. Tapping into it and feeling too strongly or not channeling your energy in the right way can make you feel angry or frustrated about these experiences. And if you don't use that frustration in a good light to fix it, and you instead just are frustrated and only feel the emotion, you're going to be unproductive. You're not going to be somebody other people want to be around. You will conquer that fear, but it will make you a ticking time bomb while you do. The best way to handle it is to take the frustration and then ask yourself, how can I make this situation better right now? And when you start fixing the problems in your life and fixing the triggers in your life, you can actually unlock the 100% of that potential energy. And your ball's gonna take off and roll faster than it's ever gone down that hill. I started making more money, started getting more confidence, feeling and being more attractive, building better relationships because of it. You have a dark night inside you. There is a form inside you that feels fear, but that can also channel that fear and use it for the best version of itself and the best production it can have for this world. You are powerful. You are also dangerous, but that gives you power. With great power comes great responsibility. And so I ask, please use yours in the right way.